Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for everyone who's joining us tonight. I'm Lisa Partida with Home Again LA, and tonight we have Tom Fuentes with Bank of California, and we're going to be talking about your money values and influences. So he's going to be talking a little bit about, what can influence your financial decisions, and how money influences your overall life. So I'll go ahead and pass it along to Tom.
Thanks, Lisa. Welcome everyone to our first financial literacy workshop of the year. My name is Tom Fuentes. I'm the Community Outreach Officer for Bank of California. And we're starting with your money values and influences. This is my favorite topic. It's really foundational. It kind of will give you ideas of how to have healthy relationship with your money and the kind of values that are kind of required to make sure that that relationship is healthy, and the kind of things that can influence you, positive and negative, I guess, but more negative, I suppose. But yeah, let's get into it. So values and money. So we're going to discuss values, what they are, why they're important, and how they influence your financial decisions. And by the way, a lot of this has to do with pretty much any decision. The things that we're going to talk about in this workshop can be applicable to pretty much any decision you have to make. The key takeaway for section one, oh, and by the way, this is kind of a really fast topic. There's only about 27 slides. We'll make sure that we leave some room at the end if there are questions. But yeah, it should be relatively fast. So in section one, the key takeaway is going to be understanding your values and how they can allow you to set achievable financial goals. So first off, what's a value? Your values are the people, things, places that are important to you and that help you guide you to make your decisions. And also your values shape and prioritize your time, energy, and more importantly, your money. There's going to be sections in this workshop, which I believe is the next page. There's going to be some apply it sections that you can do on your own time in the participant guide. So we won't go over this right now in detail, but the first apply it section in your participant guide is going to talk about what's applicable to you. And you can fill out and identify those things that are values for you, and then what those values represent. Kind of nice to jot it down so that you can kind of see it, right? And then there's also going to be try it sections in the participant guide as well, where you're going to be given a scenario right here. You'll be given a scenario that is applicable to the topic at hand. And you can do this on your own time after learning the principles given in the workshop. And in this particular scenario, you have Valentina and Isaiah, and you're going to read their scenario and try to understand how they should decide on how they spend their tax refund, which is really applicable right now because it's January. You can start doing your tax return this year on January 27th. So very applicable at this time, considering that we're in the tax season. Yeah, so like I said, very quick, right? Section one, key takeaway, understanding what a value is. Understanding core values can help you set realistic goals. We're going to go into that idea of what's realistic and a little model that you can use to think about your goals in a realistic way. Why realistic? Well, because you're more likely to keep working toward a goal that you can actually attain, that'll bring you closer to that objective that you ultimately set for yourself. So understanding your core values, and again, I think you can understand what your core values are. I advise you do that participant guide section one, write them out so you can kind of see and understand what it is that is important and help you guiding decisions. Goals and money. So know how goals are related to financial decisions and how to set goals using that model I was talking about, and trying to understand how goals should be realistic and what we call the SMART framework. The SMART framework really is not only applicable to financial dealings, it can be anything in life. I've used SMART recently and trying to think about different health goals that I set out starting a few months back, just to make sure that they're actually reachable. So yeah, we're going to discuss what goals are, how you can use them to prioritize how you're going to actually use your money. So the key takeaway in section 2 is going to be setting SMART goals helps you achieve your hopes and dreams for the future by providing a realistic plan to follow. So think about what kind of future you want for yourself and for your family and for your loved ones. How would you like your life to look and feel in the next few months? What about in the next few years, 10 years, 20 years? So it's kind of the idea of being present in the moment now, like we're doing our financial literacy workshop. I'm pretty cognizant about what I have on the calendar and what my responsibilities are going to be for tomorrow, Friday. But I'm also thinking about the next week ahead, the month ahead, and what I might be doing in the next few years. Thinking about goals under these circumstances can kind of set a priority on um, a time span for the most part. Um, so goals are what is going to help you decide what the desired result is going to be. So like I said, I use that SMART framework, which we'll get into shortly, on setting kind of new health priorities for myself and eating more appropriately and working out more regularly. Um, my desired result in that, getting healthy um, as quickly as possible, really. So yeah, so developing a plan will help you visualize how you can actually reach these goals. Setting goals helps you prioritize how to use your money and make financial decisions so that it goes towards something that actually matters to you. Setting goals can also help you measure and track your progress along the way toward achieving your hopes and dreams. Short-term goals can take as little as a day. Like you can literally wake up and set yourself a financial goal for the end of the day. I actually set myself one in a day because I forgot to fund my Roth IRA before 2023 ended. You can only contribute once a year, up to at that point was $6,500. I totally forgot about it and woke up and remembered one day and had a financial goal that day to make sure that I funded my Roth that day. But they can also be a week out. Financial goals can be a month out. It could be years out. So you may have longer term goals that can be longer to attain, but it's important to think about it so that you can measure that progress throughout. So here's that SMART framework I was talking about. SMART's an acronym. What does SMART stand for? Specific, measurable, action-oriented, reachable, and time-bound. Um, so understanding this, one sec here, I'm losing my light. Sorry, it's kind of dark in here. Here we go. Okay. So what exactly do you want to accomplish? Why is it important to you? Is it something that you really want? Defining a goal as much as possible will give you a much greater chance of meeting it because it gives you a more concrete thing to reach for. Your goal should be rooted in your values that we discussed. Values going to be, what you wrote down in the participant guide section 1. And your goals should be rooted not only, yeah, so your goals are rooted in your values. Set goals that matter to you, that are a priority in your life. So this makes it more likely you'll be able to continue towards those goals because it's something that you care about. So that's the specific aspect of SMART. Measurable. So ask yourself, how much, how many, how will I know when I've met that goal? So you're basically quantifying it, right? So quantify your goal. This will help you track your progress towards meeting your goal and keep you on track. What's action oriented? Ask yourself, what specific actions do I need to complete to meet this goal? this could include actions like changing an existing spending habit or setting up a new savings account. So what is reachable? Ask yourself, is this goal something I can actually reach? Is it achievable? Your goals don't need to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but they shouldn't be impossible either. And this harkens back to the idea of setting realistic goals. I wouldn't set a goal for myself to be a millionaire by the year's end. It's not practical. It's not achievable for me given my current situation. I may set that goal out to be 40 years from now, but certainly not a year, 5 years from now. I think you get the point. And then making sure that those goals are actually time bound. So ask yourself, when will I reach this goal? Goals should have a clearly defined time frame. Go back to that example when I forgot to open up that account towards when the year was ending. I set a specific goal that was to open up my Roth IRA. Measurable, sure, it was one account I was opening. Action oriented, yeah, I meant to complete that goal at the end of the day, which makes it time bound, and it's very reachable because thankfully I had the money to fund that account by the day's end. Here's another participant guide section for section 2, in which you're presented with a scenario of Maria who's attempting to set SMART goals. In your participant guide, you can fill out this scenario on your own time when you understand the principles in the workshop a little bit more clearly. And then this scenario will help you understand goals and understanding if they're actually following that SMART framework. So this is the apply it section, different from the Maria scenario. So in this section on your own time, you can go ahead and type in or print this out and write in different goals that you may have. This is definitely financial based workshop, but it definitely doesn't necessarily have to be financial in mind. It can be other things. Like I said, I set health goals for myself. And you can find out whether or not that goal is a solid goal by applying the SMART framework to it and then checking off if it's specific, measurable, action-oriented, reachable, or time-bound. So in closing for this, remember the key takeaway from the section is setting SMART goals. It'll help you achieve your hopes and dreams for the future by providing a realistic, time-bound plan for you to follow. External influences, I love this section. There are so many things that are influencing us, maybe even that you don't even realize subconsciously. We'll get into it, like the idea of like the internet and social media and advertising and stuff like that. Yeah, so we're going to discuss how external influences affect financial decisions and how to deal with those influences. The key takeaway from the section, sorry, I got ahead of myself. External influences impact financial choices. You can use strategies to stay focused on the goals that you help set by using the SMART framework. So influences and choices about your money. So earlier we discussed impacts of values on your financial decisions, but there's other factors such as influences that can impact those financial decisions, right? So messages about money can be widespread, right? And you may not even realize that they're influencing your decisions. Think about these things: advertisements, media, celebrities, peers, and friends. When's the last time? I'll give you an example. The other day I was looking for a recipe. I wanted to try to cook something for dinner, something different for dinner for me and my wife. And I wanted to come up with like a rice-based dish. So I typed that into Google and it brought me to allrecipes.com. I'm not sure if you've heard of that website before. I've been on it a couple times, but I don't know what it was. And this was on Monday. I don't know what it was, but that day I got bombarded with so many advertisements on that website just trying to find a recipe to cook for dinner. I was like, oh my God, it was coming at me from several different directions. And the thing about those advertisements on the internet is that they're pretty much directly targeted to you based on your cookie setting. So I had advertisements being thrown at me, and I noticed one in the right-hand column for a basketball because I was recently on Amazon shopping for a new basketball because I needed a new one. It's crazy, right? Um, I had already bought one, but I thought, oh, if I would have forgot I needed one, I would have been reminded because I was trying to cook something new for dinner. Absolutely crazy, right? Also influences within our media too. And at this time in our lives in America, we're at a very polarized, divided line between folks, whether you're Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, whether you're um, a parent or you're not, or there's just so many things that create divisions. And a lot of that is propagated and totally uh, brought on by different media sources uh, who are dictating things that they think should be important for us to know and understand. And so that's a source of influencing. Celebrities are certainly an influence if that's something that impacts your life. Um, I don't know if it's so concerning for me, but think about those that you may come into contact with via social media who are um, promoting a certain product. And it could be a certain product that's not even good for you. Give you an example, was watching a Netflix documentary last weekend about vaping and about the rise and fall of Juul. I don't know anything about this. I watched it out of curiosity and didn't realize that they use social media influencers and celebrities to sell a product that had nicotine in it. Blew my mind. So it could be, an influence on a celebrity for a product that you may not need or may be harmful for you, right? Peers and friends too. Another one, especially considering the fact that we'll go back to financial literacy. Now we're talking about our money. Are we going to take advice from someone who is in debt, at least that we know that owes money on their credit card or has a large loan on their car, or they're behind on payments on their utilities for their house or apartment? I don't know if I would take advice financially from someone who didn't have their act together anyway. So yeah, influences can come from several different directions. We just need to be aware that we're being influenced for the most part. So these influences can be productive and help you achieve your goals if they're positive. If you have people in your life who can actually give you financial advice. Sometimes the influences are unproductive and can come from unwarranted sources. It's important to understand how each factor can influence your decision, because even the positive influences can be negative in the end. Give you an example of this. One of the things that I try to do to be a better financial literacy um, speaker and facilitator for these kind of workshops is I watch videos on YouTube to get to know more about financial um, topics and hone my skills. But some of those things on there, when you're watching, they're trying to sell things. They're trying to sell you like a financial app where you should open a new account because you'll get $25 for free. I mean, it's positive, but it can also have negative consequences because do you know what that company is? Or you can find someone who's really pushing for a stock tip because they found a company that is really cutting edge and it's a new tech stock and you should invest a lot of money into it. I don't know. That could be unproductive. It's positive, I suppose, but it could be unproductive as well. Um, so we're actually going to skip this part. We're meant to break out into groups, kind of hard via Zoom. Um, but let's go ahead and talk about social pressure and advertising. So, how many
Let's
of you wanted uh, something and then found out that um, it was promoted by a celebrity you admire, like we already talked about. The crazy thing too is that like, what if um, you ended up spending a lot of money on clothes and shoes because someone that you admired did? And then it doesn't have to be a celebrity. It could just be someone that in your life that that you like the shoes that they bought or whatever, and then you want to imitate that even though you can't afford it, right? It's absolutely human nature to want things that other people have, right? Jealousy is just a thing that we deal with in envy, right? Um, yeah, so advertisers spend money to influence how you spend money. We've kind of already talked about this. Think about the last time that you even uh, read a magazine or a print newspaper, and there's even an advertisement in there about taking a dream vacation to France. I don't know, it's crazy, right? There it comes at you from a whole bunch of different areas. What about, oh, here's my favorite one that we talk about that I bring up every time we do this topic for this workshop, impulse purchases. So, and this happened to me again because I keep finding myself at Ross of all places, like a week before we end up doing a financial literacy workshop. So I went to Ross again like 2 weeks ago or 2 or 3 weeks ago because I needed a new pair of shoes. And I ended up leaving with my favorite lost item in the queue, Knott's Berry Farm apricot shortbread cookies. Like I went there to buy shoes, which I found, but ended up leaving with a box of cookies. You guys know those cookies at the queue? So anytime you go to Ross, anytime you go to Burlington, when you check out, they make you walk through a maze of impulse buys so that you buy more than you're there for. And in fact, I I I didn't fall for it this time, but I also went to Five Below like a month ago to go buy something. I don't know what it was. And then I had to walk through the endless queue of candy that I completely avoided. Yeah, so it's coming at you from every angle for the most part, right? Strategies for staying focused on your goals. Recognize these tactics, right, that I brought up that are coming at you from advertisers. When you see a sign or you receive an email ad that says 40% off today only, that's not 40% off today only. It's always 40% off. It's just a marketing ploy to get you to buy it because you think that it's on sale. And I fall for it sometimes too. I'm like, um, I don't even know if I need this, but dang, the regular price is usually $300 and they're selling it for 125. Oh man, I got to get it, right? So you just don't fall for these things, right? Notice when you're being tempted to make that impulse purchase, like we talked about at the queues at the retail stores. A lot of this happens too when you're at the grocery store, if you've noticed that they have end caps. So every time that you go down an aisle that's specific for that thing, they have things on end caps that have nothing to do with that aisle so that they can increase their sales as well, right? Um, so that's an idea of controlling your environment, being aware that when you're in the store that they're setting up the way that you're walking into the store that way to make you purchase things. Give you a perfect example of this as well. Who's gone to Costco before? Costco purposefully moves the items in the store so that they're not always in the same location to make you walk through every aisle. It drives everyone nuts, my wife especially. We go in specifically for 7 items, one of those being kettle potato chips that are so delicious, Himalayan salt. I love those. I want one right now. But they move them everywhere throughout the store. They're never in the same place, so that I have to go through every aisle just to get my bag of potato chips. Okay. So we need to do a better job of controlling our environment when we're in a space and knowing that they're doing this kind of thing on purpose to us. So very easy to also talk yourself out of certain things. Um, Quick calculation on how to figure out whether or not you can actually get something. Calculate the hours or days an item is worth. think about your hourly wage, how much you make, divide the cost of the item by the hourly wage, and it'll help quantify the purchase in terms of a very valuable thing in relation to your time. So the cost of the item divided by your hourly wage equals the hours it would take for you to have to actually pay for that item. And then again, in this apply it section, staying focused on your goals that you can do later. Think about the strategies discussed in the workshop that you can use to block unproductive messages and can help you not succumb to those impulse buys. So external influences impact external financial choices. Those external things can be positive, as we discussed, but they mostly can be negative. You can use strategies to stay focused on your goals, but just remember that we're being influenced practically everywhere and can definitely impact your wallet. Yeah, so that pretty much brings us to a close. If there's any questions, feel free, unmute yourself and we can talk about those.
So Khalil mentioned, what about dealing with these new fintech options that offer financial services like pre-approvals without credit checks?
Oh yeah, that's just another external. I mean, I would call that an external direct influence, right? It's like the idea of receiving the email and having the ad in it for an item that's 40% off today only. We kind of need to know not to fall for these things. And it's knowing better about what you're being advertised for. And specifically with that example, if something doesn't require a credit check, I'd have to ask myself whether or not I'm dealing with something that's legitimate, given what the item is. Um, Credit card, maybe not. Car loan, yeah, probably. Buying a house, sure. So just kind of weigh out the item that they're pushing you and whether or not it makes sense.
Quick, quick question for you. Can you go back to that slide where it says that you can also calculate how much you're going to be working to pay off whatever it is that you want to purchase? Is that like I
Yeah,
just want to see the slide one more time,
yeah, sure.
please. Sorry,
All right, so
because
I
I'm over
believe we're
here.
on number 24.
I think so. Yeah.
No, not 24. There we
23?
go.
Yeah, 23.
It
How
really
many
makes
hours
you
you have to work to
it really makes
Oh,
you
go ahead.
reconsider because like we were thinking about like if we eat out or DoorDash or something for $30 and you're only getting paid maybe 15, 16 after taxes, you just spent 2 or 3 hours just ordering food, not counting if you have to Uber or Lyft to work, then you spent your whole day just eating and going to work.
Yeah, it's like thinking about whether or not the new phone that you want to buy is worth 48 hours of work. I mean, and like a phone's
Yeah,
like
I
two
need to do that.
grand divided by your hourly wage, and it'll equal the amount of hours it would take for you to work.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Thank you for that. I don't know why I've seen this. I've watched this and I listened to this, and only right now it's hitting me about the whole dividing that amount and figuring
Yeah,
how many.
it's a sneaky good one. So let's make the math simple on this one, right? We'll use the phone as an example. So
Yeah.
say a new iPhone's $2,000 and say I make $20 an hour. So 2,000 divided by 20 equals it would be 100 hours worth of work to buy that phone. 100 hours of work to buy that phone. I now here's the thing. I am not one, and I've said on several workshops that we've done in the past that I always buy my phone cash when I can afford, and I always wait for it to go on sale at Best Buy. So like I have a Google Pixel 6 I bought a couple years ago. I got it on Best Buy when it was marked down to 150. I can't afford $2,000. I can't afford 100 hours of my life to go towards um a phone. It just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, you can definitely ask yourself whether or not it's it's worth it. So think about it in terms of something even smaller. Well, now what can I afford? I'm gonna buy a phone for $500. I still make $20 an hour. Well, that would be 25 hours worth of work that it would take me. That's a little bit more reasonable. I work 40 hours a week, 25 out of that 40, I may be able to pay for that phone in cash, considering if I have money saved up. Um, so yeah, it's a good sneaky calculation to figure out whether or not it's worth it to you.
Mhm. Thank you for this one because this time I'm definitely going to be keeping that in mind. And I agree with you on those percent, like those advertisements when they tell you like 20% off, 15% off. I actually fell for that twice this week, last week actually.
Mhm.
So no more of that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
these people are really sneaky.
a advertising ploy to make you think that you're getting a deal.
Yeah,
Now,
and then it's not really a deal.
sometimes it is a good deal. Um, but you have to ask yourself, why are they telling me about this? Like, I didn't ask for this. It's being directly pushed to you.
Yeah.
Probably not.
So for example, I got two offers, one for 15% and then the other one was for 20%, but I had already made the purchase for the 15% discount. But they
Yeah.
said, "Oh, if you add another item, we'll give you like you'll get free shipping." But then I had already made that purchase, so I fell for it
Yeah.
twice. That's my
And
point.
then the other thing is like coupons.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find this more predominantly if you have apps, meaning um like we were talking about fast food, I think, or delivery, or what, I can't remember what the comment was, but so if you have like a Starbucks app, Taco Bell app, McDonald's app, you name it, whatever fast food, like how often do you get a push notification from McDonald's saying that there's a coupon 10% off, or buy one apple pie, get one free, or from Starbucks, um, the new pumpkin spice lattes out and it's a limited time discount.
Yeah.
These are all things that just get you in the store, because if you're going to go in to Taco Bell, for example, because there's a deal right now where you can get a 39-cent taco, you're not going to go buy one taco. You're going to buy three burritos, three tacos, nacho fries. I mean, this isn't my order specifically, but this is probably what I would leave with. Do you see what I'm saying? It's to
Mm-hmm.
get you in the store so that you buy more.
All right. Well, thank you again, Tom. If anybody else has any other questions, feel free to unmute yourselves. We're just about ready to wrap up. Okay. All right. So our next session with Tom or Bank of California is going to be on January 25th. Tom, hold on one second. Can you just tell me again what topic it was?
Yeah. The 25th is going to be, you can bank on it. So you can bank on it is pretty much going to be like an introduction to different bank products, very simple bank products, savings accounts, checking accounts, how to use those. Very intro um, stuff, but fun. There's going to be some good stuff in there.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So if you guys have any teens, also feel free to invite them or have a maybe sit down and listen together because this is also really important for them to also begin kind of learning what it's like to open up a bank account, things like that. So I
Yeah.
encourage you guys to also invite your kids if you guys if they're already at that age where they're beginning to you know kind of deal with money, especially your money. So all right. Well, thank you so much, Tom, and we'll see you on the 25th.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.